Another day went by and you spent your whole day scrolling on social media while laying on your bed. You might look back and think, what did I do today? Most of us have projects and some activities that we would like to do someday, but for some reason, someday never comes. Are you still telling yourself that you don't have time? It's not that we don't have time, we don't make time. And if you're thinking that you don't have time, I highly recommend you to check your screen time and track what you're spending your time on. How much of time are you spending on social media for meaningless scrolling? If we could stop spending time on social media, absorbing unnecessary information, and use this time for the things what matters, don't you think we would be in such a different place? So rather than getting bombarded with irrelevant information, I think now is the best time to say no and focus on what matters. This video is inspired by the book Make Time. So the first tip will be turn off your notifications. You know, notifications are made for stealing your attention because notifications are designed for that. And as an app developer, think about it. Of course, you want your users to spend more time in your platform so that you can make more money. So rather than getting bombarded with notifications and, getting distracted while you're studying or working, I highly recommend you to turn them off, because if you don't have notifications, you might not really think about those apps, because notifications are reminders for you to open that app, because they're kind of proving that there is a reason for you to use that app. I turned off all of my notifications other than iMessage and WhatsApp. And even on WhatsApp, I turned off all of the group chat notifications other than the family group, because since I live in another country than my family lives, if something necessary happens, I would like to get informed. So look back your WhatsApp and iMessage and all of the groups, and if they're unnecessary, turn them off. And also on your Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, I don't know, whatever social media platform you use, turn off all the notifications. They're just begging for your attention. Okay, so the second tip will be increase the friction. The more friction there is, the harder it becomes for you to do that act. Unlocking your phone, opening your favorite time sucker app is unfortunately really easy. So in order to prevent spending time on Instagram, YouTube, or on TikTok, whatever, the best thing is increasing the activation energy. I recommend using an app called 1sec, which was recommended from my really close friend, Izzy. By the way, this video is not sponsored by 1sec or whatever. I just have been using it for a couple of days and I really liked it, so I decided to show on this video. So on 1sec app, if you do the setup, which is like really easy and it shows you on the app, it forces you to take a deep breath before using those social medias, and it also asks you whether you want to continue using that. And sometimes I find myself autopilot opening Instagram app without thinking about anything or without even getting a notification, because I turned off my notifications, but still, it just became a habit for me to open that app and like scroll mindlessly. But since I have the 1sec app, firstly, it just allows me to like kind of stop and think back. Do I really need to scroll right now? Is there any reason for me to open this app and use a bit of time from my life? And then while like thinking about this, you can take a deep breath and it just allows you to become more mindful. You might think, oh, this is like really annoying, but the whole point is that like the app being annoying before you open these apps really allows you to kind of increase the friction, so that rather than just like pressing on the app and then scrolling, it's now a bit harder. And trust me, it is really annoying. For example, let me show you. Let's say I want to click on YouTube. I click it, and the moment I click it, it opens the 1sec app. And as you can see, it allows me to take a deep breath and makes me wait for a bit. And then also it shows how many times you try to open the app that day. And here, I don't want to open YouTube and also continue on YouTube. Since I want to show you guys, I'm picking continue. And then it asks your intention for whatever reason you're opening this app. You open continue, and then app opens. So as you can see, it takes a bit of time for you to open that app, and this annoyingness kind of like stopped me from opening YouTube because it's so annoying. But since this app requires a subscription, another way you can increase the friction is that deleting every single time you use the app. So let's say for Instagram, I usually, 1sec is not enough for me to stop using Instagram, because for some reason I'm addicted to scrolling on Reels. And these short form type of contents really gets me, and like you're scrolling endlessly. So if you don't want to pay for 1 sec, what you can do is that download after every single usage and re-download whenever you want to use it. And trust me, since it takes a bit of time for you to delete it and then re-download it and like re-log in, it increases the friction with the time. So it is a free way to do it. But if you don't want to like really, kind of spend time for it, you can also use the 1 sec app. When discussing about spending our time wisely online, I would like to introduce today's sponsor, Skillshare, which will allow you to increase the amount of the value that you get from internet. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes, members across over 150 countries who came together to find inspiration and take their creativity journey to the next step. Have a specific skill you want to learn? Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From productivity to making YouTube videos, to cooking, to well-being, to even art and music, you can find whatever course you're looking for. Want to find a new hobby to spend time without social media? There are tons of classes like learning how to draw using iPad, or even with a pen and paper, learning how to cook, or even learning how to play piano. Want to learn about storytelling? You can check Thomas Dager's class. Want to maybe learn about creating YouTube videos and editing them? You can check out Ali Abdal's course. Now is the time to do thing that you always wanted to do. I'm also planning to release a language or maybe Notion class, so stay tuned, and I'm planning to release them at the end of the year. So don't forget to check out Skillshare. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into the video. So the tip number 3 will be don't check your phone while working, and for that I would recommend using apps such as like Forest or any other like focus type of apps. There are tons of them. Unfortunately, Forest on iPhones are not free, but I think on Android it's free, and also on PC I think it's free. And other than that, you can use any sort of like focus working app which kind of works like Forest. And another thing that I really love about iPhones is that there is a do not disturb mode. As you can see, my phone is currently on do not disturb mode. And the great thing about this do not disturb mode is that they updated, and now you have various types of do not disturb mode. You can really add your own and then kind of change the settings. In my do not disturb mode is that if somebody is calling me 2 times, I will get the notification on the 2nd time. And if somebody who is added to my favorites, which are my family members, calls me even on do not disturb mode, I will get the call notification. Since my family don't really call me other than the really important times, because I would usually call them. If something urgent happens, I will always get a notification, so I don't really have the anxiety of, like something might happen to my family or anything. If you have kids or if you have, family, I think you can really relate to this, especially if you're like living abroad. So I would really recommend turning on do not disturb mode and also using apps like Forest. Okay, so another tip will be tracking your screen time. I think just like looking at it at the end of the day or maybe at the end of the week, because it gives you a summary on iPhones, and seeing how much time you spend on each app and why, and really analyzing it and looking back allows you to give yourself an honest feedback, because sometimes I feel like time passes on these apps, and when you can see it at the end of the day and with a number, with a clear number, I feel like it is much easier for us to visualize how we are spending our time, and it is important to understand where your time is going before fixing all these problems. So I would highly recommend checking your screen time each day and give yourself an honest feedback, what you can improve and why this is happening. And in order to decrease this amount that you use in these apps, you can use the other tips that I gave. Okay, so my last tip will be find an accountability buddy. I think the best way to solve any sort of a problem is finding someone who can support you during this hard time, because whenever we try to do something alone, it is much harder. But if we know that we're not alone and have someone that can also do the same things together, it's much easier. The way you can kind of make it fun is that you can share your screen time at the end of the day or at the end of the week, like the average screen time, and compete with your friends. You can either create like a WhatsApp group or any type of group, and the one who has spent the most time on screen will give $5 to the other person, or can purchase coffee or boba or whatever to the other person. Or you can create like a, 3-4 people of group, so that the like amount that you need to pay will increase. That also increases the friction, and I feel like when you make it a kind of like a competition with your friends, it's much fun and it turns into a game rather than trying to quit social media. It's now a challenge with your friends. if you're trying to create a new habit or if you're trying to break a new habit, it is always a great idea to find an accountability buddy. Last thing that you can do is leaving all of the social media platforms that you think that they are unnecessary. I'm actually kind of planning to leave Instagram for, I don't know, maybe 45, 50 days, but I am not really sure about it. I'm thinking about the pros and cons of leaving it. And since I'm a creator and since I make money out of it, I'm currently really thinking about it. But at the same time, the amount of value that I get versus the amount of the time I spent, when I think about it, it's not really worth it. Don't be surprised if I would release some sort of a video saying I'm gonna quit social media or something. Being more mindful and creating real connections out of social media in real life, I think is becoming much important, especially after COVID time. People are trying to more socialize in person, and there might be a huge benefit of leaving social media, but I cannot really talk about it yet since I haven't done it. But I will upload another video after I've done it. For those who are interested in making more time and trying to spend less time on social media, I would highly recommend the book called Make Time. There are 87 tactics you can use and pick from, so I will link it down below too. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video.